Hi. Okay, so as far as where the beginning ideas came from for my book, again, The Bay of Freedom, one of my inspirations was The Last Flight Out. A quick story was I was traveling, um, which I normally do on a normal basis, going up north and everywhere in between Arizona. And I happened to have, I don't know where I found this book, but I just had this book, and it was interesting because it had a lot of short chapters, and so it was easy for me to just kind of read a little bit and then look back out the window because the way my brain is, obviously, well, not obviously, like, but the way my brain is that I'm very like a short attentive span to a point where I need to be observant to everything. And so with this book, it had short chapters, and so it was easy for me to just pick out like a chapter, read 3 pages, and bam. But it's called The Last Flight Out, and it was Randy White who wrote it, and it's true tales of adventures, travel, and fishing. Um, Everything from down to the South Americas, and it's a really fun book. Let's see, one chapter is called The Horse Eaters, I presume. So this one is about him, or speaking of a character, his life on the Cat Islands in the Bahamas, um, principal city on the Cat Islands. He talks about, some kind of different arrangements, but I don't want to read too much into it. I can read something. So I guess I'll just read towards the middle. This is when Ishmael and Pat Roll were not the only ones who offered warnings about the Bad Blue Hole. Um, Nearly every person we spoke with around the north end of Cat Island was related to someone who had pushed a dead horse to the edge of the lake, only to have the horse dragged from shore. And not only that, but an island man and his dog had both disappeared on the lake while duck hunting. And never to be seen again, we heard stories about this island's other blue holes too. They were giant flush drains to the sea. One man told us that would suck us down if we'd happened to catch the tides at the wrong time. Some contained a manatee-like creature. Sorry. A local girl had disappeared in one of the holes for more than a month, only to return pregnant, claiming that a merman had kidnapped her and was the father of her child. Mark, Andy, and I listened politely to these stories and then chuckled among ourselves. If the Bad Blue Hole contained an animal big enough to eat a horse or a man, the Brits surely would have encountered it. But they had already divided the lake without incident, and we had their expeditionary account to prove it. Cave Science, Volume 13, Number 2, August 1986, right? So, uh, yeah, it interesting stories, I think, and they're really short and to the point. And anyways, um, again, it's called The Last Flight Out, written by Randy Wayne White. Um, Good book. And so when I put together the Bay of Freedom, I was talking about just like basically adventures on sea. So obviously I researched ships, shipments, freights, shipments, things like that, and you come across things that, you look at on the internet, you find interesting. So I'll go over that too, listing a bunch of websites and things that I came across that were pretty cool. I also did some research um, with, let me see, just in general, just with people and background and stories. I actually used real life examples for that, as far as getting people's, different groups of people together and having them share their stories. And it's pretty interesting because it's you kind of figure out that when you have that applied pressure, not the same as when everyone's on a ship, but when everyone is in a place where it's kind of like a open forum, um, there's a lot of things that people go through. So it's kind of the same thing I was looking for in a sense, for example purposes, research purposes, anything pertaining to my book. So it really did make a lot of sense in that aspect too. And I'll go over that too. So um, again, this is video number 2. I think I'm going to do about 10 just to be safe. And then that'll be it. And then hopefully it'll give you an explanation for the book. Again, we'll go over the characters and all that slowly, but just giving you references, things I was looking at, things that inspired me, that made sense. So, okay, thank you. Bye.